All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What is up, everybody? Today, I'm going to be talking about drafters, best ball, and how I won their main tournament last year for $250,000. In this video, I'll be talking about multiple things, starting with background of myself, what exactly best ball is, why I love drafters so much, some similarities and differences from other best ball sites. Going to touch a little bit on some basic strategy when drafting. We'll review my winning team from last year, then a little special treat at the end to give you a better chance to be this year's drafters champion. So starting with myself, a little bit about who I am, where I work. My name is Zach Trivett. I am known and go by Titletown 2121 in the DFS and best ball space. I've been playing DFS professionally for over 5 years now. This will be my third year playing best ball. I work here at SHIPIT.com, which is a subscription company that we give everybody everything you need for DFS, for best ball to be successful. Now that you know a little bit about myself, let's talk a little bit about best ball. What is it? And let's talk a little bit about drafters. So let's start basic. What is best ball? I assume many of you do know, but if you don't, it's fantasy football, season-long fantasy football with your friends. I assume almost everybody out there has done that. However, once you draft your team, there is nothing else you can do. When you draft a season-long team, you can add, you can trade, you can drop, you can manage your team. That is not the case in best ball. There's a lot of work to manage your team throughout the whole year. Best ball, once you draft your team, it is done. It takes your best, highest-scoring quarterback, your highest-scoring 2 running backs, your highest-scoring 3 receivers, highest-scoring tight end, then your highest-scoring flex every single week, and it adds up your total points weeks 1 through 17, and that is how you can become the drafters champion. So now I'll tell you more about drafters specifically compared to some other sites and what you have to know when diving into drafters. So now that you know the basics, we'll touch on drafters. And the first thing that, like I just mentioned, total points weeks 1 through 17 is how you determine the champion, the $250K this year, $300K winner. That is not the same for other sites. Most other sites, it is weeks 1 through 13 where you're in a pod with the people you draft with. Then you have to take top 1 or top 2 in that pod, advance to the playoff round. Then they have a round there. You have to, again, take top 1 or top 2, advance to round 2, repeat that process, advance to round 3, which is week 17. And then week 17 is the only week that matters. And that's how the payout structure, you score the most points and who's left in week 17, that is how you win the money that way. That is not how drafters is. Drafters is unique to the other sites where it is total points weeks 1 through 17, no advance, no playoffs. I like that a lot. We'll touch on my team a little bit and look at it, how I won $250,000, but I didn't have a quarterback the last 2 weeks, would have been dead, would have had no chance to make any money if it was the advancing playoff rounds. Because drafters format, I was still able to get the job done. So I love that about weeks 1 through 17. Another little certain stuff about drafters. It's full point PPR. So when you make a catch, instead of half point, full point, each catch is worth 1 point. There's 20 rounds in the draft. It's a lot of rounds, no doubt about that. Some are 18. This is 20. And you have multiple options. There's fast drafts, snake drafts, which is 30 seconds per pick. The traditional, you have to be live. It takes like 45 minutes, an hour to do the draft. There's also an option, slow draft, 8 hours when you're on the clock. It pauses throughout the night as well. So if you're busier, you can't be on your phone as much, you don't have as much time for live drafts, you can do slow drafts. You'll get a notification when you are on the clock and you have 8 hours to go about it. This year, Drafters has 2 awesome contests already up on their site. Their main one, $20, just like last year. They raised the prize pool, so $2 million in prizes, $300,000 to first place. They also have a lower dollar entry, $3, $200,000 prize pool, and $30,000 up top. So some awesome contest over at drafters.com. Now that you know more about drafters specifically, let's touch on a little best ball strategy when you are doing your drafts. We're going to talk very basic strategy right now. There's a lot more advanced strategy. We talk about it in the SHIPIT Nation Discord at shipitnation.com. We have an NFL best ball piece there if you are interested in more questions. But talking basic best ball strategy, I'll touch on 3 things. The first one is being roster construction. What I mean by that, how many quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, etc. should you be looking at? Should you draft 6 quarterbacks, 7 tight ends, 13 wide receivers? The answer to all of that is no. It's pretty flexible. Depending on what you do in your drafts early and late, you could draft different. One team you might have 3 quarterbacks. Other team you might have 2. One team you might have 10 receivers. One team you might have 7. However, my general rule going into each draft, 2 to 3 quarterbacks, 4 to 8 running backs, 7 to 10 wide receivers, and 2 to 3 tight ends. Again, it's 2 to 3 running quarterbacks, 4 to 8 running backs, 7 to 10 receivers, and 2 to 3 tight ends. Again, this is no hard rule by any means. Just say I don't draft a quarter or a tight end, let's say, until round 15. Maybe I will want to leave that team with 4 tight ends instead of 3 since I waited so long. However, that's just a general rule that I go by, and it's worked pretty well for me. The second piece of strategy called correlation. Many of you guys probably know if you're in the DFS space, correlation. It also applies to best ball. What do I mean by correlation? Usually when you talk about it, we're talking football. That means a quarterback with a couple pass catchers, and then you can run it back when we're talking DFS. There's no need to do any run backs for drafters. However, correlation is still important. Let's just say I draft Trevor Lawrence as my first quarterback. I will try and be pairing Trevor Lawrence with Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, ETN, teammates of his. Why is that? Well, if I'm going to win first place against thousands and thousands and thousands of people, Trevor Lawrence is probably going to be a top 3 quarterback or something like that this year. How would he be a top 3 quarterback? Well, he's going to throw for a lot of yards. He's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns, more than likely. That means some of his weapons are going to outperform their ADP right now. You get correlation when you draft Lawrence. You expect him to do good. Naturally, that means his targets, his teammates would do good. You pair them up together. You draft multiple Jaguars that way. Now, correlation is not a must by any means. We'll touch a little bit more. There's a lot of advanced talk. You're going to look at my winning team. I had Jalen Hurts, and I only had 1 teammate with him. It's a little easier to do when you know your quarterback does have rushing upside. Trevor Lawrence has some rushing upside, but he's not going to be rushing for 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns. So pairing him, your quarterback, with multiple teammates, pass catchers, is a good way to go to boost your chance at first place. So that, so far, roster construction, correlation. The third piece, very, very basic. It feels like common sense, but I see people mess it up all the time, is bye weeks. You do not want to leave the draft, just say you have 2 quarterbacks or 2 tight ends, with them sharing the same bye week. You are guaranteed to get a 0 that week. And again, you can still win on drafters with a 0 at a position throughout the weeks, but why put yourself in that situation, guaranteeing yourself a 0? Same thing with running backs. Let's just say you draft 5 running backs. If 4 of them have the same bye week, you are guaranteeing yourself a 0 at least at 1 running back position. When you leave the draft, make sure you can fill out a full roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and a flex each and every week. Field the whole team. If you go and do those 3 pieces of strategy, roster construction, you stay within the constraints, you get some correlation in your teams, you avoid bye weeks and getting a 0 in a certain week. That is a very good start to draft a live team to give you a chance to have to win $300,000 and be the best ball champion this year. So now let's take a look at my $250,000 winning lineup last year. And let's see, we'll go to each of my 3 pieces of basic strategy and how did they match the criteria or did they not? So we'll start again. The first one was roster construction. This team, I went 2 quarterbacks, 7 running backs, 9 receivers, 2 tight ends. So it's 2, 7, 9, 2. 2 quarterbacks fit within 2 to 3. 7 running backs fit within my 5 to 8. 9 receivers fit within my 7 to 10 range. And 2 tight ends fit within my 2 to 3 tight end range. Perfect right there. I'm happy with it. Now we go to correlation. So my quarterback right here, Jalen Hurts. I did not have any pass catchers with Jalen Hurts on this team. It was harder. A.J. Brown was a high pick. Miles Sanders was going in the middle rounds. Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, all those guys were going top half of the draft. It was harder to stack them. However, also, as I mentioned, Jalen Hurts, I knew had a lot of rushing upside. I was fine not having as many pass catchers with him. Miles Sanders was my only other Eagle. And believe it or not, a running back and quarterback correlation is also plus EV. It's not just getting receivers with your quarterback, getting a lot of exposure to whoever your quarterback is, whatever offense you like, is a good way to go, even if it is just your running back and quarterback. So not a lot of correlation for my QB1. However, if you look, Zach Wilson, my quarterback 2, I had multiple Jets, Breece Hall, Corey Davis, and Garrett Wilson. So I had 3 Jets with my quarterback, Zach Wilson, to make it 4 total. And I absolutely love that. Corey Davis, one of my later picks, Garrett Wilson in the middle rounds. And then Breece Hall, I got a little earlier, but it was easier. Zach Wilson, one of my last picks. I saw multiple Jets, got myself a Jets correlation stack right there. You really do like to see that. I was happy with it. Breece Hall obviously got hurt. Garrett Wilson worked out. Corey Davis, not as much. However, loading up on a team is the way to go. 2 Eagles, so a little correlation, not much there. A lot of correlation with the Jets. So I'm 2 for 2, pass roster construction, pass correlation. And the last thing, bye weeks. I was able to field a full roster. I had my quarterbacks, different bye weeks, my tight ends, different bye weeks. Was able to have at least 2 running backs, 3 receivers every single week. So 3 for 3 right there. Again, there's much more strategy, advanced strategy when it comes to best ball, but the basics, if you have the proper roster construction, you have some correlation, you can field a full team, you don't mess up bye weeks, you have a chance at that $300,000. But of course, there's more than just skill that goes into it and strategy. You do have to get lucky. There's no doubt about that. However, how I approach everything in life, give yourself a chance to get lucky. Put yourself in that spot. Use those 3 basic strategies. Get in the Discord at SHIPIT Nation. Ask questions. We're going to be having rankings up on our site for drafters to help as well. You got to have skill. You got to have knowledge. Put yourself in a position, and then all you can do is hope to get lucky, and that is what I did. So that is my team right here. 2792, $250,000 was the prize. Drafters has definitely given you a chance and a very good deal to get lucky as well. You have to put yourself in a spot to get lucky. That means you actually do have to draft some teams, but we at ShipItNation.com partnered up with Drafters. And if you go to Drafters.com right now, use the promo code SHIPIT. Again, that is all one word, SHIPIT. They will give you a $100 deposit bonus up to $100 for free. What does that mean? You can deposit $100. They will give you $100 for free. So that's $10, $20 best ball drafts you are able to do. Put in $100. That's 5 right there. They'll give you 5 free $5 $20 best ball drafts as well. So 10 total right there. And if $20 is a little steep and you want to just do a lot of $3 drafts, you can get a whole bunch of $3 drafts with that $200 as well. So again, SHIPIT is the promo code. Head over to drafters.com. SHIPIT, all one word, $100% deposit bonus up to $100. If you want to do the $20, $2 million in prize pools, $300,000 to first place. The $3 one, $30,000 in prize, or $200,000 in prize pools, $30,000 to first. I would look forward to seeing you guys in the drafters lobby. Maybe you even have a chance to get in a draft with me. We do appreciate if you hit that thumbs up, that like button, that subscribe button on the way out. We will be dropping best ball content in the future. If you have any questions, you can comment on this YouTube video. I'll be looking at it. But if you do have it more in-depth questions, head over to ShipItNation.com. Get in the Discord. Again, we will be having best ball shows, drafters shows coming up. We will be having drafters rankings on the site sooner rather than later as well. So SHIPIT is the promo code. Head over to drafters.com. SHIPIT, $100, 100% bonus up to $100. Look forward to seeing you guys in drafts. Hopefully you can become the next best ball drafters champion if I cannot go back to back. Good luck, everybody. SHIPIT.